Thunder is a team that's usually around 30 assists a game. Game one, they're at 18, and I think 43% of their made baskets were assisted. Is that part of the game plan at all in terms of trying to force them more one-on-one and get them out of the passing rhythm?
Certainly doing everything we can to try to get any offense out of their rhythm is a priority. Some of that, I think, was just shot making. They didn't shoot it particularly well from three. A lot of three-point shots for this team specifically are assisted. And then a lot of the damage obviously came on the glass, and those are unassisted baskets. So, not something that we're like highlighting going into the game, but certainly want to keep them out of their patterns, out of their rhythm, and try to keep them to one shot tonight.
Mark, obviously, you talked a lot this season about trying to sustain this level of disruption. What changes in the back half of that fourth quarter and the final few minutes when you go from pick sixes throughout the game to Denver controlling possession and not really moving the ball? What changes there on their part?
I thought the free throws hurt us. Down the stretch, I thought it hurt not only moving the scoreboard for them without wasting any time, but it also sets their defense. So looking back on that stretch, they're a great offensive team with great top end talent. So sometimes you tip your hat to plays that they can make or shots that they can make. But I thought those ones hurt us, but we learn from it and move on. But I thought when we sat down and guarded them, our first shot defense for most of the night was very, very good.
The double big lineup kind of had a hard time in game one. What did you see from Denver's side that maybe disrupted them, or do you think it was maybe still your guys trying to learn what went together?
I'd be careful to evaluate anything in terms of sample, from game one. Everything, that lineup is probably tens of possessions in the game. So we think we know more about it from a larger body of work. We'll obviously evaluate everything as we go through the series relative to this opponent and relative to this series, but we're not, it's a little too soon to start really making seismic changes to anything, without good reason, I would say.
Mark, you like to use the word force and sometimes evaluating how you play. How was your force on Monday night?
Okay. Some really good plays. I thought our speed up the floor was pretty good. And I thought we had some plays where we were really good, and then I thought there were some other plays where we were just okay. So, there's, again, lost by 2. There's a lot of things in a 200 possession game that you can adjust. I thought in a lot of areas of the game we can be better. The good news with that is we have a lot of areas for improvement. You don't want to leave at game one and be like, man, there's no, we lost and there's no pathways to improve. We have a ton of pathways to improve. Now we got to go execute them.
Mark, I heard a stat that when Russ is out there with the starters in place of MPJ, the Nuggets have shot 75 more free throws than their opponents through the 7 games he's played. I guess, how do you keep them from attacking like that and getting to the line?
Yeah, they're kind of like blunt force, in a lot of those lineups. Not just when he's out there, just in general. And so a lot of it, it's a fine line. You want to be physical. If you're not physical with them, you get no shot. But if you're physical, you are towing the line of fouling. They were in the bonus early in the first. They're in the bonus early in the fourth. That obviously hurt us in those quarters. So just got to be really, really on it. It's the playoffs. They're a really good opponent. We've got to be physical and we've got to be disciplined.
Question just a question about defensively. How do you think about when you play zone against these guys and what the advantages of that are?
We didn't play any zone in game one. We've mixed it in throughout the course of the year. Our thing is basically have the schemes that are disruptive to the opponent and change the schemes throughout the course of the game. You could do that in man. You could do that in zone. We have it in our bag if we want to use it. It's not what we did in game one. But I do think there's enough execution stuff from game one that we could have improved on that we hopefully will get into the game tonight.
Sending multiple defenders to share wherever that is on the floor, it's not new.
Yep.
Whatever their reasons might be, are untold. But as far as putting him in advantageous positions? Like, do you feel you've done enough of that? And I know that's like an ongoing thing in terms of putting him in different places to succeed. Like, what can you do in terms of combating the way they're sending multiple guys?
I mean, it's something you literally deal with every night when you have a guy like Shea on your team, similar to them with Jokic. You know, like there's not a night in the NBA when the other team's not trying to scheme to limit his effectiveness. I thought, you know, just like I said to many of the other questions, like room for opportunity, also some really good things. You know, I thought we had a decent offensive night. If you look at our expected stuff in terms of, you know, what you can expect on possessions, we actually had a better night than the output. So, you know, we'll continue to try to solve problems, but we have, you know, solutions for him and for the team for anything that can come our way. We obviously just need to play a little bit better.
And I don't remember the exact number, but his expected assists were way up there last game, and it felt like he was making those reads. Are you okay with the series where he's, you know, walking, not getting off the ball in spots he should instead of scoring 35? Like, do you feel like you need a certain amount of points for him?
I would never, you know, tell him to predetermine an amount of points. He's got to read the game, especially when teams overload, you know, and give you advantages in other places. As a team, I think we had something like 58 potential assists last game, which was, I think, 6th highest of the season or something like that, at least with our own. You know, you could fact check me on that. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but with our internal stuff, you know, we moved the ball pretty well. We generated pretty good shots. We generated very good threes. We were 0 for our first 10 from 3 and then ended up around 35% on the night. So after we kind of shook off some of that rust, I would assume, we shot it pretty well. So trust Shea to read the game. You know, we want him to be aggressive, obviously. He finds his spots. He's a master of that. But at the same time, we want him to make the right play, and he does.
Anybody else? Coach.
All right.